to get to that state of nirvana, because really that's what it is, there has to be a huge, solid component of self-love.
Absolutely.
So speak to us about the place of self-love and self-care. What you had to do for you to get here.
Wow. Self-love and self-care. I'll start with saying this. When things were really difficult for me, and I say this without fear of contradiction, I needed to see a therapist, you know, a clinical psychologist. Because, you know, we have been told that by the time you go to see a therapist, you know, everything has broken.
Yeah.
You go when you know you need help, when you don't understand what is your thing. So I said, I'm going to walk in. Actually, let me tell the truth. My friend instructed me to go and see one.
Okay.
So I said, I'm going to tick a box, Jerry, you can hear. I'm going to tick a box so that she stops telling me to go and see a therapist.
Right.
And the day I went to see this therapist, I came out of a board meeting, walked there, paid, walked in, and the first thing that hit me, and this is what I say to people my age, please, don't despise youth. The first thing I thought of is, this young person is the one I've come to tell my problems. I said, anyway, I've paid. What I shall do is I'll just go sit there for the hour and then I will leave. And so I walked in and he said, niceties, how are you, you know? And then I said, he said, so what shall we do today? And I said, you do the thing they taught you how to do at school. I have never forgotten it. This is what I said to this young man, who now has become such a great friend. You do that thing they taught you in school, you do it. He was completely unfazed. He began to ask me questions. By question number 3, you know, I remember when I walked in, there was tissue on the table, you know, like Kleenex. And I thought, okay, it's here. It's probably, maybe he has a cold. So that's why the tissues are there. Before I knew it, there was tissue all over the table. And I knew it wasn't his because it had lipstick, mascara. It was me.
You were bawling.
I was bawling. And he asked questions. Because you see, they're trained to ask you the questions that you need to be asked. And I didn't realize how much I'd been carrying, and I was breaking. And I realized that my life had been almost like controlled. So I left my parents' house to the altar of then, it used to be called Nairobi Pentecostal Church. My father's cover to my husband's cover. I moved on with a controlled environment. And suddenly I was in a season in my life where I was no longer under my dad's cover. I'm no longer in a marriage, and I was spaceless. That's the only way I can describe it. I felt spaceless. Like, I show up every day to work. I do what I need to do because I'm a great professional. I say that without contradiction. I'm excited with what I do, but something was really missing. And that's where Waki space came from, by the way. I began to realize I wanted to understand which is my space. If you remove this title of daughter, sibling, wife, career professional, governance auditor, all these things they're introducing me. If you remove all those things, what's left? Then I'm like, hiya, I saw a kahol and I'm like, hiya, what's there? And I began to go back and say, who is Waki? What makes me tick? This therapist, and the reason I talk about it, he asked me, what do you do for you? I began to list things for him. He says, that's for your parents, okay. Then I say something else, that's for your siblings. Then I say something else, that's for your children. Then he said, what do you do for you? And I'm thinking, see, all those things are for me. He says, no. I don't see you in that. What do you do that you love yourself in completely? And I went back and I sat down and I thought, what do I do to love myself? And I thought, I like nature. I like, you know, going for walks. I'd started the fitness journey. I started hiking. At the age of 55, I started hiking. And my first hike, you know, I went to a place called Garidari where there's a waterfall. I'd never seen anything so beautiful. And I began to weep. Because this was beautiful for me. I sat down and I wept and I said, this is so exciting. And I went home carrying that excitement. And I realized that there's a space where each of us need to find what works for us. Remove the titles. I've had titles for 3 decades.
Major titles.
Exactly. But now the title there when I sat there in front of that waterfall was, this is Waki's space. This is me. And when I come out having been fed in my own space.